Good evening. My name is Elise Roper, and I am here in place of our host, Rhonda McGowan, who is at the polls helping others do their civic duty today. And hopefully those of you watching us have done that as well. Welcome. I am here on behalf of the Cosmopolitan Chamber of Commerce, which is the second largest minority chamber of commerce in the country. We were established in 1933, and our goal is to help businesses expand, start whatever you need. We're here to help you, and we're working in conjunction with Community Insurance Company and the Illinois Tollway Authority. And tonight I am honored to have Mr. Sherman Neal with me, who is the owner of Hooks AV LLC, which is an Illinois commercial construction company that specializes in concrete paving.
Yep.
So welcome.
Thank you very much, Elise.
Very nice to have you with us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in the Carolinas. Being an entrepreneur, and my current business is essentially my third career. I started my career as a naval officer, where I retired a number of years ago. And following my tenure in the Navy, where I pretty much drove ships and carriers, cruisers, and a lot of other military-type vessels throughout the world, I became a banker in Chicago, specializing in commercial and corporate finance. And became an entrepreneur starting in about 2005.
Okay. All right. So how did you go from Navy to business and now to concrete?
Well, it's somewhat of an interesting story. My father in South Carolina worked in masonry and concrete-related trades. And as a teenager, I did as well. However, we used to build bridges and do sidewalks and hotels, etc. in the Myrtle Beach area. However, I didn't see it as a career for me personally, so I went into the Navy. I went to school at the Naval Academy and studied engineering and mathematics there, and followed by my commission, which ultimately led to my military career, etc. And when I left banking, with a background in finance, I got into the business of structuring low-income housing tax credit transactions, which sort of brought me into in a soft way into construction. And so I started a small company, grew it to a couple $1 million doing residential and small commercial construction. And when the market moved in a direction that I didn't want to go there, I was presented with an opportunity to purchase a 60-year-old company out of Chicago area, which specialized in commercial concrete site work. And I looked at it more as a financial type acquisition, more so than the fact that I had necessarily technical skills in that area. Okay. So I purchased Hooks about 3 years ago. We'll hit our third anniversary of the acquisition this coming July.
Now, you are a unique company because you have, we were talking, several certifications, and one of the things I want us to kind of highlight is the veterans.
Right.
And you also have your MBE, Minority Business Enterprise and Disadvantaged Business Enterprise
Correct.
Certifications. But for those of our listeners out there who may be veterans, and this is an area that we don't really highlight a whole lot, so I'm happy that you're here to kind of talk to us about it. What are some of the requirements for becoming certified as a veteran?
Well, it's a fairly simple process. You pretty much just have to prove that you were a veteran and received an honorable discharge from the military. Generally speaking, that requires you really just to have a DD-214, which is a certificate of service. Okay. And you apply to any of the various agencies, including the Tollway or CMS, or some of the national agencies as well. And they will take you through a certification process similar to an MBE, DBE type, whereby you have to prove ownership, improve your investment, and improve your military service. And it normally takes anywhere from 4 to 6 months or so to do so.
Okay, so it's actually, that seems rather
Right.
quick for the government.
Right. It's fairly simple because the proof service is, and 51% plus or minus ownership is fairly easy.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So what are some of the, what would be some of the benefits of being a veteran-owned business? Are there certain set-asides
Right.
that are out there for veteran-owned businesses?
Well, at all levels of government, normally from the national to the local level to even private industry, all major corporations as well tend to have some allocation for work that they want to allocate to veteran businesses. For example, the city of Chicago offers a 5% bid discount for veterans, when veterans bid on certain projects, such that if you were bidding at $105 and your competitor was at, say, hypothetically $100, your 5% discount would put you on par with his 100.
Okay.
And what that does is allows you to be more competitive in the bid process and for them to award more businesses. Some of the other advantages, of course, is specifically with the Illinois Tollway, they've allocated a 3% set aside for veteran-owned businesses, and with them expending over $15 billion plus or minus over the next 7 to 10 years, that represents a fantastic opportunity for veteran-owned businesses to participate in the Tollway program.
Okay, wow, that's great news for those of you who are listening out there who may be veterans. You want to look into becoming a veteran certified business to be able to get these set-asides that are out there with the municipal entities that are in the state and even nationwide. So that's wonderful. So let's talk a little bit about you have bought a business that was, and I know we just kind of talked about that. So someone who is thinking about getting into their own business or maybe purchasing someone's business, what are some of the things that they should look for if they are interested in buying an existing business?
Right. Well, I always say there are two kinds of entrepreneurs. Those who I consider to be sort of financial entrepreneurs who bring a strong business background. And then there are those who are more like technical entrepreneurs, meaning they have skill sets around a unique product or service that they have a deep understanding of. They may not necessarily have the business background to leverage and run that business in its most optimum fashion. So one of the first things is to realize what it is you're trying to accomplish relative to your style of entrepreneurship. My background specifically was in finance, an academic training in engineering as an undergraduate. So when I looked at opportunities, I look at it from a financial perspective.
Okay.
And with long experience in leadership and management, I said I could apply my leadership and management skills and finance skills, identify a good company, and then look at how then bring on board those individuals who have the more technical and in-depth professional knowledge to manage and do the operational side of it. And the other component of it is also, as I said, it is critically important that when you look at any kind of business acquisition, that you understand the financial components of what it takes, what lenders are looking for, what capital you have to bring to the business, and how you integrate all of those components to be able to successfully purchase it.
Okay, you mentioned capital,
Right.
which is one of the biggest hindrances, I think, to a lot of small businesses getting to the next level. Can you give us some advice on ways that people can look for capital? I mean, in this economy right now, it's a little bit difficult. The banks, because of what happened maybe 10 years ago in the real estate industry, are a little less hesitant, especially in the
Right.
construction
course.
industry. But what are some of the things that an entrepreneur who is looking to purchase a new company might want to think about in getting ready to do that?
Well, first thing is you really have to come to an understanding of what's the definition of capital. Because capital comes in various forms. It can come in a cash injection from your own personal finances, from a third-party investor. It could come from the banks, or it can come from an existing owner. One thing that you really have to understand is that the capital will come in different layers relative to when you're trying to make any kind of acquisition. What I mean by that is, and I'll give you my example, when I was looking to purchase this existing company, which is about a $5 million company in revenue, that is not what you pay for the company. You make an analysis of what the worth of the company is. So you said, say hypothetically you purchase a company for $1 million. You say, well, I don't have $1 million in cash. Well, you have to fill that $1 million in somehow. Often, a financial institution who's going to lend you monies to purchase a company will want you to have some skin in the game. Somewhere between 10% to 25% of what it takes to purchase that entity. So you have to come up with that monies. And there are ways you can do that. First of all, the existing owner may take a partial buyout over a period of time, whereby you said, hey, I have to put in $250,000 in totality for the bank. Maybe $100,000 of that can come from the existing owner, such that you pay him back over time in conjunction with or after you pay the bank back their money. You may get money from third-party private investor where they will make their cash or investment subordinate or at a lower level to the bank, such that they'll get a higher return on the investment, but you pay them back over a longer period of time. So you have to look at it in somewhat of a layered fashion. The best thing to do is that when you're looking to purchase a company, sit down, first of all, talk to a small business banker who will generally give you a free lesson in all of the requirements that you have to meet prior to you starting to put in an application.
Okay. Well, that's good to know for those out there who are thinking about starting a business or trying to get some type of business loan. Those are some of the creative ways that you can come up with.
One of the biggest lenders for the acquisition of small business is the SBA,
Okay.
the Small Business Administration. That's how I purchased this existing company. With the SBA, it's essentially the same thing. It's a government guarantee to the lending institution, whereby they'll guarantee at least that if 25% of the purchase price of the acquisition. And what that really means is that it's the same sort of scenario, except now the bank's risk is significantly reduced because they are not on the hook for 100% of their loan exposure, but 75%, with the government taking on the other 25%.
Now, do they have special programs for veteran-owned businesses?
Yes, the SBA does have, I think there's a program called the Patriot Express, which is a working capital loan where they'll give you, I believe right now, up to about $100,000 in working capital in a streamlined approval process. And the other advantage of the SBA is that they will give you reduced fees for loan-related fees. That'll save you money as well.
Okay, that's wonderful. Again, you are looking at the Cosmopolitan Chamber of Commerce. I'm Elise Roper, and I'm here with Sherman Neal, who owns the Hooks AV LLC, which is would you call yourself a small business?
It's a small business.
A small
absolutely.
business that does concrete masonry work. And one of the benefits of being a member of the chamber is that we are there to help you if you are trying to start your business, if you want to expand your business. We have the resources available to help you with that. So please feel free to give us a call and connect with us. We can help you get started. So what do you feel how would you define a successful business?
Well, it can be defined in different ways and really at different stages in the life cycle of the business. When you're initially start a business or purchase a business, you really don't necessarily expect to make a whole lot of money.
Really? I thought that's why you go into businesses to make money.
Well, it would be nice to, but
Okay.
nobody gives a business
Don't do
away
that.
such that
Okay.
a ton of cash comes, immediately after you purchase it. So you really have to put in place sort of different levels of success, so that even though, for example, it says it takes most businesses about 3 years to become profitable, well, that means you're potentially losing monies up to that first 3 years. So you might say, hey, based on my business forecast, I'm going to lose $100,000 this year.
Wow.
And next year I'm going to lose $50,000, and in year 3 I'm going to do a break even. That is financial success for a business. The other component, so what happens when you lose $100,000? Maybe you only lost $75,000. You say, wow, I did better than I thought.
Right.
Notwithstanding the fact that you lost money,
Right.
but you're on a path to where you're trying to get to. Then there are other things that you have to look at as well. Operational success. Is a business operating in the manner that you want? Did you acquire all of the equipment, et cetera, that you want to position you for long-term success and growth? And you may look at marketing, maybe getting up a website or any other number of things that require you to put in place a solid foundation that will take you on a path of incremental successes.
Yeah, a lot of people just think you just start a business and it's just going to flourish
Right.
overnight and don't really understand all of the work that it takes
Right.
to make a successful business. What are some of the qualities that you feel are needed for a business owner, and especially in the construction industry, which is a very tough industry to be in?
I think that the qualities that it needs for success, whether it be in construction or whether it be in banking or finance, I think the ones that is most discounted is really just integrity. People want to believe that they're working with a good and decent person because the qualitative risks of being in business that's fairly mechanical in nature. So you can analyze that. You can put things in place to help to mitigate that. I found that, and I learned it through my career as a military officer, is that when people believe you and they believe what you say, and you do what you're going to say that you're going to do, that becomes a business asset that's really unquantifiable, but it is in some ways quantifiable. Because I always say that if you can't trust someone, then you're going to have to spend some sort of asset to mitigate the risk of you not being able to trust them.
So that's part of goodwill in accounting terms.
It is goodwill in
The
accounting.
goodwill,
right.
yes.
So, the other things are, doing what you say you're going to do, and if you can't do it, let folks know as soon as possible. Good management skills and good leadership skills. The technical skills, I always think you can generally always hire.
Mm-hmm. Right. And what about dealing with your employees?
Well, again, I think I went in the Navy back in the mid 1980s. I was 22 years old, and my first unit was 25 or so individuals. There were folks in there who was in the military longer than I was living, but I was in charge. So, but being in charge doesn't necessarily mean that you know everything. So I learned early on that the best way to gain success and to motivate and leverage people is for first of all to gain a degree of mutual trust. Once you establish that, then that serves as a platform on which you can build any other kind of relationship, including an employee-employer relationship. Oftentimes, I'm in situations where I have to deliver bad news, to my guys, and then, but one thing I always tell them, I say, I'll never lie to you. You'll always get the truth, and if it's bad news, I'm going to tell you. If it's good news, I'm going to tell you. And as long as they can trust your word, then they will generally work a little bit harder for you.
And that is so important. Is having somebody trustworthy to work for, because in your industry, there's a high turnover a lot of times, and it's really hard to find good, competent people
Correct.
that are going to take pride in their work.
Correct.
And so that's great. What we're getting ready to wrap up here. What is some advice that you would give to someone who is looking at this? Again, someone who may be thinking about buying a business, or just getting ready to start a business. What is some final words of wisdom that you would give our audience this evening?
I think the first thing is to be introspective. What I mean by that is you have to look within yourself and say, what am I good at? What am I not good at? Owning a business is multifaceted, and you can't do everything yourself. You have to have, like they said, a lot of folks say, hey, I'm in business, but this is all that I do. Well, you're not in business, that's what you do. Business, I said, involves finance, strategy, marketing, operations, customer service. You can't be good at all those things. So when you're looking at a business or looking at an opportunity, you have to say, while that might be a XYZ business, how am I going to make that successful? And you can't do it by yourself. So you have to think about what kind of team that you're going to put around you, whether it be lawyers, accountants, or marketing specialists, or whatever. That's going to sort of form the nucleus of you being able to bring that product or that service to market.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that is so important. The team is very important, and just like you said, understanding who you are and what you're trying to accomplish makes a huge difference as to the type of product that you distribute. So now you have worked with our technical assistance program. All right. Has that been of any help to you?
Well, I recently got involved with the technical assistance program via the tollway in partnership with Walsh Construction.
Oh, wait, we have a caller. We have a few seconds left, but we'll take the caller.
Am I on?
Hi.
I have a question. I have two.
Okay.
How do I make connection? How do we make connection with the public as far as the black-owned business getting black customers? And after that, you got to get the money from the bank to support the contractors. How do you maneuver around those things?
Is that your question?
No, that's your question.
So the first you said
black on black. Now I was in business back in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And the white guy come in there, I say, okay, here's a job. Job is worth $1,500. I say, give me 50% down and balance up to completion of the job. The white boy come right behind me and say, give me $5 a month. Now you know where that's leading to.
Right.
You don't have a job.
Well, we have
Same thing happened when they put in the expressway as far as the rail expressway. You got to put up $1 million bond. We don't have that kind of money.
Well,
Yep. Well, unfortunately, you called at the end, and we're out of time. We would be happy if you want to. Our number is on the screen there. If you want to contact
cut
us,
my
we'll be
TV
happy to
off.
talk to you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
All right, Sherman. Thank you so much for
thank you, Elise.
being our guest tonight. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.